and welcome to Dirtbike's off-road video series. Honda gave us our first chance to ride the 2023 CRF450RX last week, and since then, we've had it out on several occasions. It might be one of the most pleasant surprises of the 2023 model year so far. This bike is Honda's version of the closed course cross-country racer, meaning it's purpose-built for Western-style off-road racing like Worcs and the NGPC. All of the manufacturers offer something in this category, and for the most part, they adhere to the same formula. You start with a motocross bike, soften the suspension, put on an 18-inch rear wheel, more fuel capacity, a kickstand, then bolt on a few items like handguards and a skid plate. Voila, instant off-road bike. Honda went a little further by developing specific off-road maps, 3 of them in fact, but the bike is still very competition-oriented. For 2023, it received many of the same upgrades that the latest CRF450R motocross bike got. That includes a smaller throttle body, a narrower intake port shape, a longer intake funnel, and a new cam profile. The frame has the same basic dimensions, but material thickness has been increased in several locations to alter flex characteristics. Along the same line, steel engine mounts replaced the aluminum ones. The suspension valving has been revised as well, and the muffler is new. It still is the same muffler as the one used for the motocross bike. Likewise, the 5-speed gearbox is the same. Honda uses a 3-button map switch on the left side of the handlebar for mapping changes. You can pick one of 3 mapping options. 1 flash is the standard map, 2 flashes is mild, and 3 flashes is the aggressive map. You can also activate 3 levels of traction control with the green button. If you press the starter button while the motor is already running, it activates launch control. We've always liked the RX as a race bike, even for motocross. In fact, there were years when it was probably a better motocross bike for the average rider than the motocross version. The previous RX was very aggressive off-road though. It had a lot of power and it hit very hard. Now, the power delivery is much more friendly. In the standard map, it's smoother and more controllable. You can roll it on with good results. The Honda always had an incredible rush of power between 7,500 RPM and 8,500 RPM, and that could be hard to deal with. Now it makes as much power as ever, but it ramps up a little more gradually. The map switch is a genuine benefit, and all 3 settings are useful. In the aggressive map, it has more power in the upper mid-range and is excellent on a motocross track and on faster GP tracks. In the mild map, the bike is smoother and actually not too bad for trail riding. That doesn't mean it's a bike for twisty, tight trails though. It's still a racer, and it is a handful if you're trying to thread your way between trees or deal with rock beds. It will overheat and it will stall like any of the other 450 cross-country race bikes. We're still on the fence about traction control. Most of the time you only really notice it when the bike suddenly goes flat on a loose hill climb. It's not going to make it that much easier to deal with rocks or mud. In the suspension department, overall, we like Honda's setup. The bike is well balanced and seems aimed at intermediate level GP riding. That's probably appropriate, given the fact that it's notoriously difficult to second guess where and how an off-road bike will be used. If you plan on riding a GP or some amateur level motocross, the stock setup is pretty good. For enduros, it's stiff. For full-on MX, it's soft. Overall, the bike turns very well, and it's reasonably easy to toss around. On our scale, it's 238 pounds without fuel, which is about 5 pounds heavier than the KTM or the Husky. It does seem a little larger and bulkier than those bikes, although that's probably a superficial consequence of the bigger fuel tank. It has a 2.1 gallon tank, and clearly Honda had a difficult time finding a place to put the extra capacity. The motocross version feels like a much smaller bike with its 1.6 gallon tank. Most of the other details are good. We actually like the gear ratios, even though it would be nice to have another gear on top. The handguards are well made, a Renthal fat bar is standard, and the addition of a hydraulic clutch a few years back was a great upgrade. The 2023 Honda CRF450RX is an undeniable improvement over the previous versions of this bike, and it shows that Honda truly tested the bike off-road. It's still more of a race bike than a trail bike, and if that's a deal killer for you, you probably should look at the Honda CRF450X, which was designed specifically as a trail bike. We'll have a full test of the 2023 Honda CRF450RX in the March 2023 issue of Dirtbike magazine, which will be on the newsstands in February. You can check out more off-road tests at dirtbikemagazine.com or right here on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.